19th, 1987. We're up at Doug and Edie's on a kind of a, well, it isn't bad out. Kind of a mild, but misty spring day. Doug says they're getting lots of calves now. Edie was telling me about one she found after quite a haul there. It had been out there. She hadn't looked at the cow for about 4 hours, she said.
Yeah, it was a heifer, yeah, first calf.
Yeah. And when she got out there, she said it had a membrane over its head.
That's apparently so, yeah.
And so then when she had to get it, she went and gave it artificial respiration. She
That's
blew
right.
in it. Took the membrane off and blew in it. The little guy, she lifted it up.
Yeah.
And it was on its way.
Yeah, you bet. Saved him. He's a good calf.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. These Herefords, they're just the ideal mountain cow, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're tough. They're bred for this kind of country.
These calves are really tough.
Yeah.
But I can see Edie picking that thing up and giving it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. She said she blew in it.
Well, that's right. I have done it too, and that we've saved. If you're lucky, if you're in time.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of timing, you know.
Well, there's a whole year down the drain though if you aren't in time, right?
That's right. You lose
You've raised that cow for a year. That's the interest. You've lost the interest off the cow.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, I muffed it just a minute ago. I thought my tape was going, so we're going to try to remember a few of these things. I was talking to Doug here about the Freedings. He said he knew a little bit about their history, and I'd visited with Wayne and Frida. Sellers. The Sellers, not the Freedings. I don't really know the Freedings. I don't know why I have their name. I think it's Frida and Freeding that gets me mixed up there.
Yeah, well, Wayne Sellers and his wife Frida, they've been in the country for a long time.
Yeah, and you said that he was born in 1900. I remember.
He was born in 1900, yeah.
And that his dad, or he.
Yeah, no, they lived on the Columbia River. They were just below where the Currie Dam is.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked in the river there. His dad, I think he was, collecting timbers that come down, logs.
Oh yeah,
driftwood, yeah.
Like the beachcombers.
Yeah, that's right. And I think he worked at that with a team, and he'd get up with a boat, and then they'd snag it up. I guess they cut it into wood and whatever, sold it to the sawmills probably at that time.
Sure.
But then anyhow, as far as I know, they all come up into this country with wagons and.
Yeah, they trekked their animals up. He told
up.
me it was a heck of a hard trip too. He said it took them weeks.
Yeah.
They came up, and then of course they went through the Richter Pass, and there was no roads, as you say.
Well, it wouldn't be probably a wagon road. That's all.
Yeah. So then he settled up here
around Jura, I think somewhere. I'm not around up or either that or on Summers Creek.
And
then a little meadow there, and they had a few milk cows.
And he started off with a herd of milk cows and got some calves?
Yeah, that's right. And then they had to have hay, so they went and worked their way back towards Penass Lake and got on some of them big slewgrass meadows, and they started cutting hay in there and to feed their stock.
Was that hay as good as they say? They mentioned in that Grass Beyond the Mountains, they said that slough hay was very nutritious. The animals.
Well.
Was it as good?
That's not as really true because it's if you can get it up and you can winter stock on it, but it's not like good alfalfa.
It's not going to put any weight on them, huh?
No.
It just keeps them going.
It just keeps them alive.
Yeah. That Frida's quite a character, though. She's got a lot of spirit. Boy, she must have to raise all those girls
yeah, she had a pretty rough time raising her family in the country at that time.
Yeah. But isn't that uncanny to have all those girls when, you need boys really, but they
a little strange,
They really are every bit as strong and as rugged as boys. Though I've met some of those girls, and they can hop on a horse and get out there and do every bit of man's job. Boy, they're tough girls, hardy girls. But anyway, Wayne said that when they started out, he did a lot of trapping. I was going to mention that. That's one, because I did some trapping when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, he had a trap line back in there, and this friend of mine, Ralph Robinson, worked on that trap line for Wayne.
And you told me I should talk to Ralph.
You should.
Yeah.
If you want to get a good history on the Sellers family.
Yeah. Okay, I'll remember.
You should go and see Ralph Hobbs.
I can walk over to his house in about 3 minutes. If I can walk 100 foot a minute, I can get to his house in 3 minutes. So, anyway, I was going to mention something to you. I heard that they use teams of horses to fish on the Columbia River. To fish.
To fish?
They
On
caught
the Columbia?
sturgeon. They caught
Oh,
sturgeon.
they might have, sturgeon.
And they had to use a
Team of
team.
horses to drag them on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, they get pretty big, them sturgeon, they tell me. I don't know,
Yeah, they tie them to a tree. They'd have the local blacksmith make this hook, on the forge.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd put a gopher or a ground squirrel or a chicken or whatever was handy on that hook.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use sash cord like you had in the windows and heave that thing out. And then they tie the end to a tree, a good-sized sapling, high up on the tree. And then they'd watch it. And as they came by, they'd watch for the tree to be bobbing like this.
Mm-hmm.
They'd just leave it out there.
Yeah.
And if they had something, then they'd go back with a team of horses. That's what they told me. And I think it might have been true.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. I mean, it
I
sounds
know
like
they get to be pretty big, those sturgeon. I've heard them get to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fish them in the Fraser River, too.
Yeah, I want to catch one too. That's a life ambition. Catch one that weighs as much as me.
Yeah.
I want to catch a fish that weighs as much as me. Sometime.
Well, you'll have to catch one of them.
And I got to quit eating so much too.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be losing proposition here. I'll lose out by a few pounds that I've overeaten. Now, do you know the Willises?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know some of the kids. I had them in school. How did they get into the country?
Well, the first connection I ever had with the Willises when I was a youngster in the Fraser Valley, I went to a little school on the outside of Chilliwack called Robertson School. Mm-hmm. And we lived, maybe a mile out from that school, and I used to have to walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember some of the days when it used to rain, and I remember being picked up by an old fellow driving a horse and buggy, and I don't know, I got to know him a little, and then I got talking to him, and he finally started telling me a little of his history, and he was an old bull skinner, that drove the teams of ox on the Yale Road to haul to the
Barkerville?
To the Barkerville and the mining camps. Yeah. And I went home and told my dad, and he told me that was old Abe Willis.
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just the first connection I ever had with the Willis family. Mm-hmm. And then when I come up into the interior with Jack Budd in 1928, then he started telling me about these two Willis boys, that the old man had bought them ranches in the interior. And one of them was up here on the cold.
Darcy.
Darcy, well, it's on the Coldwater Creek. What do they call that creek up there that runs out of Copper Mountain? It's the Coldwater, isn't it?
Could be.
But anyhow, they bought it that place, and the other son, he bought a place for him at Karamias. That's Garney.
Yeah. Did you see that TV show on Garney Willis?
No, I didn't.
Oh, did you hear about it?
No.
Oh, was that good? Yeah. It's called Cowboys Don't Cry. And it's about this little kid, he falls off the horse.
Yes.
And Garney's the key character. Evidently, one of the Willis granddaughters or something is a TV.
Is that right?
Person.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, so they took the old Garney and this little grandson of his, and they made a movie about Cowboys Don't Cry. Mm-hmm. And it is priceless. You've got to see that. Yeah. I'm sure somebody has recorded it. I'll bet the Willises have recorded it on a video. Yeah. But anyway, the Willises, they got a big spread.
Oh yeah, they got a good outfit up there. Yeah, they built it up. Yeah. And then you see when they died, then this place was left to Abe and young Abe. Yeah, that is right. Now that's is the one that I know. Uh-huh. And I've known him ever since he's a youngster. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then he married one of the Sellers girls, you see.
So okay.
Mona.
Yeah.
And they had 3 boys, and one of them is on the 9 Mile and works with him yet.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think I had most of those kids in school.
Yeah.
The three boys.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And then go ahead.
and then Garney, he run sheep for a few years.
Up on
Yeah,
Ashnola?
yeah, way up on the whole range up there. And but Abe has got all that. After they quit running the sheep up there, well then Ernie, that's Abe's dad. Why they picked it up for cattle range,
Uh-huh.
and they've been running in there now ever
Leasing
since.
it. Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's government land.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They've been having some funny problems with predators in the past few years.
Well, they do, and everybody just gets. Oh
Cougars and
yeah,
grizzly bears.
yeah, and human beings too.
Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Human predators?
yeah,
The kind that chop off the hindquarters and
that's
run?
right.
Oh, gee.
I think they've had several, but we all have lost
Yeah.
some that way. As long as there's cattle running on free range, somebody will take a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there goes for a small operator, well, even yourself. It hurts to lose $800
Oh, it
or
does, yeah.
$700, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially if it's a good breeding animal. Too,
yeah,
huh?
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So you've had your share of rustling, huh?
Well, it's pretty hard to tell because when your cattle come in the fall of the year and you count them and you're a few short,
Yeah.
you're not sure, whether they've got lost or whether somebody's taken them or they've died of natural causes.
For
But
whatever reason, yeah.
if you lose too many, well, then you get a little suspicious. I know that one fall, when they were putting the power line through, I lost about 10 calves. And I got a little suspicious because the cattle had come out of the mountains. And it was after that I'd lost them.
You had a good count.
And yeah, well, I had a pretty good count, and I knew I didn't have that many cattle at the time, and I knew them pretty well.
Yeah,
See,
yeah, uh-huh.
and I know that I got to talking to Alan Gill about it, and he said that there was a bad bunch of guys that were working on the power line at that time, and he didn't know, he never could prove anything, but he suspected that they might have been, when they were coming through the range, that they would shoot a calf and throw it in the back of the pickup and take off. So.
On the weekend and head for
On
home.
a weekend.
Yeah, head for home.
Now this is, he told me there were guys at riffraff that they'd picked up.
Yeah, just
and
roughnecks.
Roughnecks,
do
that's right.
Do the hard labor work.
But I don't think anybody ever proved anything, or I don't think anybody was ever caught at it.
Yeah. Well, I think Alan is a guy that doesn't make.
Well, I think that he has a pretty good idea what's going on in the country.
For sure. And he doesn't make. Okay, then we've got another big ranch family here, the Friedings.
Yeah, well, I've known them too ever since. In fact, I've known Carl since. Well, he would probably be. He's about the same age as I am, and I'd be about 15 or 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The time we run into each other, and I've known him ever since. Yeah.
Hey, did you hear about that neat gate latch he invented?
Yes, I bought a bunch from him.
Did you? Aren't those
Yeah,
nice?
they're pretty neat. He's done quite well, I guess, with it. I don't know.
I see him on the government fences.
Yeah,
The
they use them. All the government highways buy them off him.
I think they're a neat deal.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, his daughter Shirley's pretty creative too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Carl's the kind of a guy that, he never sits around twiddling his thumbs all his life. He's always got something going for him, and I guess that's one of them. I guess.
Yeah.
He's done a heck of a good job of raising purebred cattle.
Has he?
For the last 35 years, I would say, and he's raised. He got into the pole cattle business and done awfully good job of.
Can you tell me what a pole cattle is?
Well, a pole has got no horns.
Yeah. They're just genetically that way. They
they breed them that way, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Speaking of horns, somebody gave me some, from icebergs, out there, the meat packer. So I'd read that you could boil them, make them soft.
The
Clean them
horns.
out, yeah, the horns, yeah. So the other day, I was doing something in the backyard, so I lit up my trash burner and threw a bucket of water in there and dropped these horns in and let it burn for about 24 hours and cleaned them out. I'm going to make myself a rack with those horns. I've got the wood and everything, and so I'll have them, nicely varnished and everything, and stuck like they're coming out of the wood.
Yeah.
See what happens. Have you ever seen anything done like that?
No, I haven't, John.
I haven't either. I'm just experimenting with it. So I'm going to see.
All I've seen is that I don't know whether we've got some or not, but they made somebody picked up when you're dehorning the cattle, and they make I think we've got some somewhere. I don't know. They make little trays or something out of the horns.
Well, they really soften up.
Yeah.
They soften up. You can mold them and shape them. My Norwegian ancestors used to use them for spoons. That's all they had for spoons.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah. In that part of Norway, you could see where they whittled some too, but I think they used the horn spoons too.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you ever find any horns, I'd sure like to try some more. I've run out of them now. But you're raising polled cattle too, aren't you?
Well, no. We have the horns. We have a few polled bulls, but we mostly horn bulls. Yeah.
Okay, now here's some more specific questions, okay? We'll try these. Did you ever build a log building by yourself on the range? Like you had to put up a shelter or something like that?
No, not really. Not on the log range, no.
But we're sitting in a beautiful log home.
Yeah, well, we built a log house here on the place, and I peeled all the logs, dry peeled them, and
you peeled all the logs?
Yeah, by ourselves. Well, I had help, but we brought the timber in and dried it, and then we peeled it dry.
Why? Why dry?
Well, the bark had to come off, and that was, and we liked the effect because, if it left a kind of a little piece of that bark on,
it makes it beautiful.
Makes a nice job.
Yeah.
And then when you put the shellac on it, well, it looks nice.
But it's so hard to peel when they're
It
dry.
is. I think it's the only place I've ever known where it's dry peeled. The rest is all clean.
Yeah.
But this is dry peeled.
Yeah. Oh, it's a gorgeous thing. A gorgeous job.
Yeah, it is, and it's a good job. It's a well-made house.
Who was your main log man?
What kind of?
Oh no, who was the guy that did it? The main log builder.
Well, his name was Weber.
Weber.
Yeah, he was a contractor for Penticton, and we had all these. We done all the log work, and then he came in and built a house.
I see. Yeah.
And we built it the way he planned it. So I mean.
Yeah. And, I was talking to Norma and Mel Turner. You probably know them too.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, she says that their remodeling job, they had Meston come in and do the remodeling job on their laundry, and all she had was a piece of paper with a sketch on it tacked up on the wall, and he built this beautiful remodeling job. She was so pleased with him.
Yeah.
Did Edie make quite a plan? Did she have it all drawn out real well?
Well, she made the plan, for the house,
Yeah, Norma did for that extension down there too. Did you get it done in 1 year? This is a mammoth house.
Let's see. I think we poured the foundation in the fall, and then I think the next spring we started with the building, or the next summer.
I know she was talking about it at school.
Pardon?
She was talking about it at school.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
She was still teaching school.
Yeah.
So, no, we've got. This one thing we have is a nice home.
Oh yeah. Well, you've worked hard on this place.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of work.
Worked hard on it. Okay, here's the next thing I got on here. Can you relate any stories of Indians? You've had some good dealings with Indians. Edie's always talked about how nice the Indians were up on the.
Yeah, well, I worked with the Indians.
You did?
Oh yeah. When we went over to work for her brother in 1950, and then even before that, My dad was horse trading all the time. We bought a lot of horses from the
Yeah.
Indians.
Yeah.
So I got to know a lot of them.
Who are some of your favorites, or would you like to relate?
Well, yeah, some of my favorite Indian boys down there that I know are the Tabascus and
Yeah. Tour baskets. Yeah.
Tabascus, and then there's the Allisons, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I know them all, and then
Uh huh.
there's an old character by the name Inish Nahamshin I always got a kick of.
Say that
I figure
again.
he's about one of the wildest bronc riders that I ever knew, and then
What
there
was that
was
name again? Would you go over that slowly? What was his name?
Inish Nahamshin.
Inish Nahamshin.
Yes, that's the way the Indians call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good rider.
Oh, terrific!
Yeah.
Ride anything.
Yeah.
Wild, yeah.
Well, they always said, in those battles in the States between the cavalry and the Indians,
Mm.
if they were equally mounted, the Indians ran circles around
Oh,
them.
yes,
Gee,
that's right.
they were supposed to have been the best light horsemen in the whole world.
That's right. Light horse cavalry.
Yeah, yeah, they were the best in the world.
Well, that's right.
They could shoot underneath the necks of
Yeah.
their horses, and they could lay off to one side. And
Well, you
reload.
see, before they got the automatic rifles, why they had the advantage over the white man because
Sure.
they could, I forget how many arrows they could pull and let
Yeah.
loose in a short period of time.
5 or 6 a minute.
Yeah, compared while you had to stop and load a
Gun, you'd be doing good to fire it every 3 minutes.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
that's right.
Yeah. So they could keep the air full of arrows as
That's
long as they
right.
had arrows.
And they get in close while you're a beat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They got darn accurate too with those arrows,
yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah.
At a short distance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they told me that they used to drive one right through. Their bows were so strong they'd drive an arrow right through a buffalo at short
That's
range.
what they told me.
If they didn't hit a rib or something, it'd go right through.
Go right through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had the Indians got a dirty deal. Yeah.
Oh, I think so too. I think they ought to fight now. They're survivors, the ancestors.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Of course, Doug, we're sitting on dangerous ground. They never signed any treaty for this area, as I understand. Did they?
Not that I know of.
No, I don't think they have.
I don't know whether they ever stayed up in here much. Most of them camped on the lower part of the Smilkameen where the weather is better, you see.
Carameus.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
From
they
Carameus down, yeah.
Yeah, they had those pits in the ground. What were those? They dug a hole in the ground, and then they covered it over with logs and stuff, and so they were insulated. They lived in these.
Well, they might have, John. I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, there's some right down at Wolf Lake.
Yeah, yeah.
You know where the reserve is there?
Mm.
There's some of those remaining pits. They had a special name for their winter houses.
Yeah, well, I might have one on the turkey farm someday when I'm down there. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
There's a big pit there. I don't know whether it's an old made of Indians. I know that right at that turkey farm where that rock is supposed to be was a camping grounds when the Indians come up here to hunt. Because they used to find arrows and stuff down there.
Arrowheads, yeah.
Arrowheads,
yeah. I grew up in an Indian area too.
You would.
I think this is one of the lures that got me out west. I read every Indian book I could get, everything I could get.
Yeah.
And I think I told you my best man was an Indian, Yakima. Did I?
No, you didn't tell me.
When I got married, my best man was a Yakima Indian.
Yakima Indians. Yeah. Well, I rode thoroughbred horses for the Yakima Indians when I was riding races on those county fairs. Yeah, they used to follow the circuits they had good horses.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Gee, talking about shooting a bow and arrow, could this guy, his name is Beardsley.
Oh,
He's a barber. If you ever want a good haircut and you're going through Colville, Washington, stop on Main Street at Jim's Barber Shop.
Yeah.
And get a haircut from him. And in his place, I think I told you this, he's got the whole walls lined with horseshoes.
Yeah,
various kinds of horseshoes. But can he shoot a bow?
Yeah.
Oh boy, he is deadly with a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the big reasons I came out west. And then I was scared to death of them. You know those big Blackfoot Indians? Those big bucks? They stand about 6 foot tall and shoulders on them like in Montana.
Yeah.
I would drive through places like Browning and Wolf Point and Cut Bank and those areas on the Browning Blackfoot Indian Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, were they big. And I had my camera sitting right there, Doug, and I wouldn't take a picture. I was scared to death to go up to these guys and take a picture. But, oh, they were beautiful specimens of humanity.
Yeah,
Big,
well, that's
big.
right. It's a shame they
What,
cooped them up, you know. And
they cooped them up and they interbred, and this is, you know. This
well, and then they hit the booze, you know, and they
yeah,
got drinking.
yeah,
You see,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel drafty, John.
What? Can I get some more? Here.
I'm just gonna look and see if we've got a door.
Did I leave that one open? I'm good at leaving doors open. I'll get a couple more chunks.
Are we still on that air?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Go over and blab something in the machine. Oh, you got a little fly box here. Fishing fly box.
Yeah.
Are there any flies in it?
But I don't know what's there. I couldn't tell you. Pull this out of the way, John.
Should I?
Yeah, just stick that in the
Stick
stove.
it in. Yeah, okay. We'll time out for a little stocking of the furnace here. Oh, look at it.
Yeah, it's burned down.
That's one thing. You got all your own fuel here, huh, Doug?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You really. Yeah, I admire the Indian way of life, although I think they had to be pretty tough.
Well, yeah.
They lived right in the weather. They never.
Well,
really
they had pretty good protection. They had those teepees made out of those buffalo hides, and then elk hides too. I think they used a lot, but it's pretty hard to say. You know, it's
But what a way of life.
what a way of life is, right?
Yeah, just to wander like that, and follow the animals and follow the seasons and
yeah,
follow the fish. That would have been
that's
interesting.
right. Yeah.
Interesting way to live.
They used to fish on those Columbia River and the Nez Perce, and you know, they were one of my favorite tribe of Indians was the Nez Perce. You know.
Yeah, they were great horsemen.
Yeah.
They're Nez Perce.
Well, actually speaking, the last big Indian war was with the Nez Perce.
Yeah.
And they tried to, all they were trying to do was save their homeland. That's all they were trying to do.
The Wallowa.
The Wallowa.
Yeah. I almost ended up teaching there. I think I told you that.
I think you mentioned it. Yeah.
I was at Oregon State School there, and I went over there. But that is beautiful country, and I can see why they fought for it. They were the friendliest too. They were the ones that were real friendly to begin with early settlers. But
well, they tried to be friendly, yes, but then you see the whites wouldn't leave them alone. They wanted
too greedy.
They wanted all their grass, and the Indians owned it, and they just took it.
Yeah, they were too greedy. They wanted
That's
everything.
right. They
Couldn't
just took
share.
it.
Couldn't share like the Indians would. That was their philosophy, to share.
Well, that's right.
Even with their enemy, they'd feed their enemies. If their enemy was hungry, they'd
Well,
feed
they
him.
fought among themselves, but then,
Sure.
I mean, that was their way of life, too. So.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I guess I tried almost everything the Indians did. You know, I even put a javelin in one of my neighbor's bicycle tires. I was bad at them. They came by, and I had this javelin I'd made, an Indian javelin. And we're like, I'll never forget. It sailed through the air, and the tires were fairly big in those days. You know, it hit that tire, and it stuck right in it, and it, you know, went around about a quarter and hit the frame. The kid went alley-oop over the front of the tire. You never did anything like that, Doug, did you? No.
Well, I've done lots of
Goofy
things.
Yeah.
Don't remember any particular thing like that, but
Yeah. Oh, we made bows and arrows.
yeah.
You haven't lived, Doug, till you shot an arrow, you know, like this.
Oh yeah, I have.
Well, wait a minute. You haven't done this up yet. We used chicken feathers for the.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how to tie them on real good.
Yeah.
And we shot the arrow, and the feather rolled right up my finger.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know how feathers are built, just like a harpoon. Couldn't get the darn thing out.
Yeah, that's right.
You shot a bow and arrow, did you?
Well, I don't know. When we were kids, I think we used
Yeah.
to play with them, but I never really got involved with the bow and arrows like their modern time bow and arrows
Oh, these
that they
modern
have
ones.
nowadays. That these things that they shoot. Well, they're allowed to hunt with them now.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I don't approve of them because I think you can wound an animal.
Have you seen animals running around
Yes, I have.
with arrows in them? You have.
Well, there's been lots of them shot in our property,
Have
yes,
they?
with
Yeah,
arrows.
yeah. And you found them with the arrow in them? Or seen them with
I
the arrow?
haven't found anything, with the arrows sticking out of them, but there's been some people that have,
Yeah.
that are around
Yeah.
here, yeah, in the area,
Yeah.
wounded, and then they don't get, with a rifle, is a real one good clean shot and you've got them.
Yeah.
Although,
There's still some guys that can't get a good clean
but
shot either.
I haven't done any hunting for years because I like to see the stuff alive.
Yeah. Edie does the same thing. She likes to see these coyotes, not during calving season, but during the winter. She likes to watch them mousing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
She says.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They catch a lot of mice,
Yeah.
but then they're bad to have around too. They kill your lambs and get your
Yeah.
chickens
At
and
the seasons. Yeah. Yeah. Trudy Parolin.
yeah.
She's Les Fripp's daughter. The old man Les that we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
She can't raise geese up there. Those darn
Oh
coyotes.
no.
Those coyotes come in and nail her geese every
Oh
year.
yeah.
She tries.
Yeah.
No, one of my regrets is that if I could have, I would have loved to live for summer with the Indians somewhere.
Well,
For a
I've
summer.
read of people that have
Yeah.
spent.
Maybe I'd have to do it with the Eskimos sometime. Go up
Well,
north.
you can go north and
Yeah, still do that.
you can still do it.
Yeah. We had some twins here. Maybe Edie remembers they were twins from the Eskimo tribes.
I think I remember talking about them.
Yeah, beautiful kids. Beautiful kids. Their father came down here to work in the mine or something.
Yeah.
And these twins would talk about how they lived up there.
Yeah.
Man, it wasn't hard for me to let them get off the subject in class.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd tell us how they go on their fish camps in the spring
Mm-hmm.
and their muskrat camps, and
Yeah.
in the fall they'd go out and trap muskrats. So they talked about how up north they've got suckers like we do here.
Yeah.
They dam up the rivers into a weir,
Mm-hmm.
and they drive these suckers in there, and then they smoke and dry them for
Yeah.
food in the winter.
Yeah.
It's romantic, but it's tough. They had to look for every next mouthful of food. They didn't go to the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty tough up in there yet when you get that CBC North on and
See that stuff. Yeah.
see that stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
They're trying to modernize, but when you're in a cold country, it's you're limited, to how you can modernize. One thing you got to have is a warm place to live. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're not going to last long in life.
No.
Well, here's the next thing I got, Doug. I've got favorite dogs and experiences with them.
Dogs?
Yeah, dogs. Have you had some good dogs?
Oh yeah,
in
I've
your time?
got some good dogs, really good dogs.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, mostly for chasing the cattle and then coyote hunting. And,
You've done coyote hunting?
well, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've had dogs like I've got a pair of dogs here now that have killed. They don't kill a grown up coyote, but they've killed them coyote pups. They catch them and kill them.
Yeah.
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 And then I had one old dog that I had with him. He was a great friend of Edie's. He used to go to school with her and follow her to school.
I remember.
The old Joe,
Yeah,
Joe
I
Currie,
remember.
they called him. Yeah.
And he'd sit in the truck.
Yeah, he's sitting in the truck, but actually, I used to, like, if I lost a cow or something, I'd put it within shooting distance, And I get one particular winter, I shot was shooting at them, and I kept thinking I was missing them. And I'd shoot and they'd run, and then my old dog would take after. He'd go after them, see? And so one time I thought, well, that's funny. I know I hit this coyote.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down over the hill, and by God, there I run onto about 3 or 4 carcasses. He got them and nailed them, and he caught up to him, and he finished them off himself along the fence down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the bottom of the
That was
ranch.
Joe Currie.
Old Joe Currie, yeah.
So they'd see him in town, and they'd say, "There's Joe Currie going to see Edie." Huh?
Yeah, well, that's what the kids called him.
Yeah. I don't remember him being named, but I remember the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that dog. He'd be sitting in the back of the truck on a bale of hay there.
Yeah.
She drove home with him.
Yeah, Edie used to take him.
Yeah. So that was your favorite of them all, huh?
Well,
Did you have one as a kid?
Uh, well, we had some pets, but you know, they didn't seem to have the same meaning as they did when I got older, and then I got on my own. You know, where I was with them all the time. You know, and I've had some good dogs since I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
They've got old and died. Yeah,
Yeah. What
I've
kind?
got I've got I've got a pretty good pup. Well, he's a young dog, a really good. And he'll go after a coyote, but he needs help. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. If you
I
catches
shot
them.
a coyote here last summer, and the two of them nailed him, and they caught up to him, and they finished him off.
Yeah. Two of them. Yeah.
I don't want them around close.
Oh, I
The
don't blame you.
coyotes.
Especially if your animal's having a young. I've heard they'll run right up there and when that
Well,
animal's
if your
down.
calves are strong, they don't bother them, but they have been known to kill a weak calf, yeah. But I don't want them trotting around the cattle.
What do you think? What's a better dog, the border collie or the blue heeler?
Well, I think a crosses are like, the blue heeler and the border collie cross
Yeah.
makes a good
That's
combination because a border collie I thought was a little on the timid side,
yeah.
and then you get the blue heeler and they're a little bit more.
Boy.
They're fighting. They're a little tougher. Yeah.
Boy, I found out why they're called blue heelers. You know, Allison had one. Harold Allison had
Yeah,
one.
that was a good dog. Well, that was the one that Johnny had, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Well,
was
I
a
went to
dandy
open
little
up a
dog.
gate. I
Yeah.
parked my truck and went to open this gate up to go onto their property.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, I felt the most sharp pain in my ankle.
Mm.
And that healer grabbed me.
Yeah.
It just went like a chick, and he backed up real quick
Yeah.
because he knew I let out a yell. Boy, I was mad at him,
Yeah.
And I let out a yell, and he backed off. He knew he shouldn't have bit me.
No.
He must have figured I was somebody that doesn't belong on that property.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah. Funny.
Yeah, that old Joe that we talked about. I can remember. He was with me when I used to ride with old Kit Summers, and I remember old Kit went and wanted to pet him one time, and he didn't bite him, but he just grabbed him a little bit to let him know that not to fool around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he hung on to him. Yeah.
Yeah. So just
He
enough
just pinched him. Yeah.
Didn't break the skin.
No,
Just held.
he just pinched him, and
Yeah.
old Kit says he took his hand away, and he thought, well, that's a good dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get to be one-man dogs, don't they?
He was a one-man dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old Joe. Well, Edie, him and Edie were great. Got to be great buddies. Yeah. Poor old fella. Yeah.
How did he pass on? Just old
Oh,
age?
we had to put him down.
Oh.
Yeah, he couldn't get, so he couldn't move. He just died of old age.
Arthritis and everything. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, here's another one then for you, Doug. The Fripps and the Brewers always told me about these fabulous dances they used to have in this country. Did you guys go to that?
Well, they had a lot of dances in the 30s and the ranches, and it was a good get together.
I heard that they were people would come from miles.
Oh, they would, yeah.
And they'd stay overnight, and it was a 2-day affair.
Well, I didn't get involved too much with them. I never. We always had an old car, a good saddle horse, and
so you could
we
get back and
saddled
forth.
up. Yeah, we got back and forth, but I never did go to any of those in the Tulameen and Otter Lake country, but I used to a lot around Princeton, and Summers Creek and Jura. And
where were they held?
in the schoolhouses.
Always
the
in the
old
schoolhouse.
Not always.
Yeah.
When Cams lived up on Summers Creek, they used to have them in the old house up there. Kick out the furniture and dance in the front
Kick
room.
out the furniture. Pile it up outside.
Yeah, it was good and friendly. Them days you'd meet somebody you hadn't seen for a long time. Yeah, it was. Some of them was all right and keep the drunks out,
Yeah. I heard they used to lay the kids over in the corner on the coats.
Oh yeah, I think they had bedrooms and they put the kids.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to too many. But
I'll bet your ranch pretty well sewed up your time, didn't it? You couldn't leave it.
Well, I wasn't here. When I was with Jack Budd.
Oh.
89 went to a lot of dances, all right and stuff, but mostly downtown when we lived here. Oh yeah, we used to go to a lot of dances.
I could see Edie as a dancer.
Oh, she was a beautiful dancer, Edie was. Yeah. We
She
used to
carries
go.
herself that way.
Yeah, well, that's right. We used to dance a lot. And in fact, that's one of the first time. That's where I first met Edie. Was in a dance.
In Princeton?
Yeah, in Orange Hall.
Oh, where was the Orange Hall?
Well, it was right down there. See, what street would it be on?
Near what's there now?
Let's see. You know where the uh, what's the name of that bank? You know that they have in town? Not the credit union.
Credit Union. Yeah.
Well, it says right down that street there. I think
Behind it.
behind it there
Yeah.
was a big long hall they had
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
And we used to have a.
There's a glass works there now. Princeton Glass.
Well, no, I don't think it's there, John. I forget now. Just to pinpoint the thing, you'd have to check with Eden what street it was on. But
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Really,
No, but I know that it was quite a big hall, and
fiddles and accordions and.
yeah, they had good music.
Yeah.
And then there was another hall they had called the Oddfellows Hall, and it's right on the corner there where
Max is. Max Auto Parts?
No, right on the corner. What Chinese restaurant is there?
Leisure Inn.
Pardon? The Leisure Inn.
Leisure Inn, yeah. Across from yours.
Yeah, right across from yours.
Yeah.
And we used to have some lovely, good times there. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would have liked some of those times. The only dancing I ever enjoyed was square dancing, really.
Well, we did a lot of that too, and then I don't know, I got tired, and I was working, and it was tough. It was hard
After
work.
After a 12-hour day.
Well, yeah, Edie and I were here, and we were trying to make a go of things, and I put in long hours. And
well, I've been in on a few of these jam sessions, I guess you'd have to call. That's what the modern musicians call them, jam sessions.
Yeah.
But where Trudy Fripp has her accordion, Nora Fripp plays the piano, Lenny Brewer plays violin,
Yeah.
and Rosart plays the accordion. Rosart.
Yeah, well, that's up
good.
there. Yeah, I think that.
It's good.
I know one night, where were we? We were down when Pinky had his. Was it his 70th birthday?
Yeah, I could believe Pinky's 70.
Well, I went to that, and that was. See, no, what would that be? Because I'm 71 now, and Pinky is about. Let's see, Pinky, I'm 71 past, and Pinky is. I think he's just a little bit younger. Maybe a month or two younger than I am.
Oh, yeah.
So Pinky would be 71 now too, but it's more than a year ago, I think.
You went to his birthday party.
Yeah, and it was down at that hall down there at the ski jump.
Amber. Yeah.
And it was Lenny Buer, he was there then that night.
And was the Italian, what's his name? Dark? Real dark.
Darn, I just forget now, John.
Oh, they make a fine pair of musicians.
Yeah.
And then Ole and his mandolin, Ole Lindquist.
But I know that I was having a problem that night too, because that was after I had that bursitis in this leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I just been having, I think I'd only been out of the hospital for a little while, and I didn't stay real late. I didn't do. They wanted me to dance, but I couldn't. I was kind of crippled up.
Yeah, you've been rubbing your leg a lot today too.
Yeah, well,
I've got. Get it?
I'll tell you what I've got is. To see that I had bursitis in this leg, and then this last time, I got it in this side.
Oh, gee.
And I've got one of these stockings, some big silk.
Yeah.
And I keep scratching it once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
It's tight.
Not fleas, just irritation.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, it's uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah. I got bursitis in my shoulder. I knew this storm was coming.
Yeah.
2 days ago, I knew.
Yeah.
Because the low pressure system
registers
right there in that shoulder. Well, I got one more question here.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably Danny. I'll think of some more, but this is a in that Grass Beyond the Mountain they talked about hard winters for cattle and such. Did you ever experience one of those with
Yeah,
your
we've
animals?
had several pretty tough winters.
What do you do? What what does a guy do when you
Well,
get
there isn't
those?
a heck of a lot you can do. You just try to make your stock as comfortable as you can. The biggest thing is now is snow removal,
Oh yeah,
and you got to make out yards so you can get through to feed them.
I saw that a month ago.
Hmm.
They were plowing back and
Yeah,
forth there
that's
with that
right.
big tractor of yours.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, what did you do in the old days? What I
Well, we
heard.
had horse teams, and we didn't have to plow. We went
Oh, go right through the snow.
go right up on top of it and break a trail,
Yeah.
and then once you got a trail broke, why then you fed every day. Yeah.
What are some things you'd do for animals that were suffering in the winter? Let's say they were having a hard time of it. Would you? I've heard of feeding them warm water, or
Well,
is that true?
if they were froze, John, the best thing you could do is try to get them
Into a barn?
into a barn or shelter of
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind.
You
Of
ever
all
feed?
the experiences I've had in this country, I don't. We hardly ever had any cattle freeze to death.
Yeah, yeah. You've always had enough hay.
Yeah, oh yeah. If I didn't have enough, I'd buy some.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, John Perlin up there is getting all his hay. A lot of his hay from the states comes up in trucks from down across there at Orville,
Yeah.
bringing hay up.
Well,
From
does he buy all these hay?
well, he has to buy a lot
Yeah.
because it's a
Well, does he on the old place where you go
yeah,
up,
yeah,
John Peril?
yeah.
Well, he's there. Well, how many head of cattle has he got there?
He has about 25.
Yeah.
Not big, but
Mm.
he's a true rancher. He's a small rancher struggling, but he's
Yeah. Well, does
at
he make
heart.
a living there?
No, he works at the sawmill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I
don't know.
thought.
That's a rough way to do it, boy.
Oh
He drives, all day long and then comes home and does the chore.
yeah.
I don't know how he does it. So you didn't lose too many cattle to the cold weather.
Well, you have your losses, but I wouldn't know whether sometimes it's altogether the cold weather. Animals get sick, same as human beings, and sometimes you treat them with the right thing, and sometimes you don't. And if you don't, you lose them.
I guess you got quite a medical kit for him, huh? You use penicillin and
Yes,
tetracycline
that's right.
and vitamins. And,
Well, you feed them whatever you think will cure them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who's the best doctor, you or Edie?
Uh-huh. Well,
Ranch doctor.
between the two of us, why we make out.
Yeah. I've seen some of those darn needles that you feed.
Yeah.
You drop into those steers, those big needles. Holy
Yeah.
cow! You're not too timid when you jab them, huh?
No,
Not
you
if you
have
want
to.
to get them in there.
You're going to do it. You got to do it right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had it all to do over again, you'd do the same thing, I'll bet.
Probably would, John. Yeah.
Yeah.